Hi, my name is Muhammad Faris Saikal bin Azim Shahrul and my matrix number is 2021131539.
Assalamualaikum, and my name is Ahmad Shaheen bin Shahruddin and my matrix number is 2021131085.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Izzul Islam. My matric number is 2021126441.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Farhan bin Ahmad Zaidi and my matrix number is 2021131515.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Aim Haikal bin Asfusiadi. My metric ID is 2021131133. Assalamualaikum everyone that is watching this video. Today, I want to present about the report that we all made. We made a report about inflation and unemployment in Brazil. Brazil is the largest country in both South and Latin America, formerly known as the Federative Republic of Brazil. Brazil is the world's fifth largest country by size and sixth most populous country, with 8.5 million square kilometers and over 214 million inhabitants. Brasilia is the capital, while Sao Paulo is the most populous city. The federation is made up of the union of 26 states, as well as the Federal District of Colombia. It is the biggest country in the Americas to have Portuguese as an official language. It is also one of the most cosmopolitan and ethnically varied nations, thanks to nearly a century of huge immigration from all over the world, and it is the most popular Roman Catholic majority country. Brazil is not only one of the world's largest countries, but also one of the world's largest economies and a member of the BRIC countries. What's that? A group of 4 up and coming developing economies. Unfortunately, Brazil is also suffering from a persistent recession. In 2017, the majority of Brazilians regard the country's economic situation as poor. Brazil is categorized as an emerging power as well as a regional and intermediate power, with the 8th biggest nominal GDP in the world and the largest in Latin America by PPP measurement. It is regarded as an advanced developing economy. Brazil, a recently industrialized nation with an upper middle income economy according to the World Bank, is one of the world's main breadbasket and has the highest proportion of global weights in South America. Brazil has been the world top producer of coffee for the past 115 years. However, the nation still has significant level of crime, corruption, and socio-economic inequality. Brazil is a founding member of the G20, BRICS, Mercosur, Organization of American States, Organization of Ibero-American States, and Community of Portuguese-speaking nations, in addition to the United Nations.
Inflation and unemployment. Inflation. The definition of inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Inflation is typically a broad measure such as the overall increase in prices or the decrease in the cost of a living country. Based on the graph, in 2020, the inflation rate in Brazil amounted to about 3.21% compared to the previous year, a slight increase from the previous year's 3.73%, but a large improvement compared to 2015 with more than 9%. Brazil also struggles due to an ongoing recession in 2017. The majority of Brazilians describe the state of the country's economy as bad. Furthermore, it marks the eighth consecutive month of double-digit inflation rates and the highest since October 2003. Prices advanced faster for transport, 19.70% versus 17.37%, namely fuels 33.24%, food and drinks 13.47% versus 11.62%, and healthcare 5.12% versus 4.52%. For Brazilian unemployment, based on the graph, we can see that it shows the unemployment rate in Brazil from 1999 to 2020. In 2020, the unemployment rate among Brazil's population ranged at approximately 13.67%. The recent expansion of the Brazilian economy is what led to the significant decline in unemployment. The nation's unemployment rate was cut in half over a 10-year period, and it is anticipated to continue declining annually. Brazil is a part of the so-called BRIC nations, which are the four rising nations with the highest rates of economic growth: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Brazil, which has one of the biggest economies in the Americas and the entire globe, has consistently maintained one of the greatest levels of productivity, producing billions of dollars worth of products and services every year. The nation's debt also saw minor drops, although it is currently anticipated to stabilize. An acceptable debt-to-GDP ratio for the majority of wealthy nations is about 60%. Despite not yet being a fully developed nation, Brazil's debt-to-GDP ratio is projected to be about 60% and has significantly decreased over the previous several years, mostly as a result of a growth in the nation's GDP. That's it.
Macroeconomic problems. Brazil has been in a serious economic crisis since mid-2014, after a 3.5% drop in 2015 and a 3.3% drop in 2016. The country's gross domestic product began to recover. The recovery lasts until 2020, when the COVID-19 epidemic surfaced and wreaked havoc on the economy. The economic crisis coincided with a political crisis that ended in President Dilma's impeachment. The combination of these events resulted in widespread public discontent with the political system. High unemployment rates were reported across the country during the economic crisis, and there was widespread anxiety about Brazil's economic future following a series of political scandals. Brazil's GDP increased by 1% in the first quarter of 2017. This was the first time in 8 quarters that GDP increased. Brazil had emerged from the largest crisis of the century, according to Finance Minister Henry Meirelles. The growth in GDP, on the other hand, merely represents the end of technical recession, not the end of the crisis. The recession was the second worst in the country's history, and the recovery was the slowest. For the unemployment occurs when people who are in the working age group are able and willing to work, but they are unable to find a suitable job. In Brazil, the type of unemployment is classical unemployment and frictional unemployment. Classical unemployment is also called the real wage unemployment. It arises when trade unions drive wage in excess of the market clearing levels, resulting in a fall in demand for labor. But Brazil has the potential to become one of the greatest economies in the world, since it is the most populous nation in South America. However, with over 14 million unemployed Brazilians and a 13.6% unemployment rate in 2017, things aren't looking bright for the country's economy.
Inflation.
Monetary policy. The central bank took steps to mitigate the pandemic impact and minimize the impact of the abrupt halt or fall in activity levels. These include decreasing reserve requirement and loosening bank collateral and capitalization in order to increase liquidity in the economy. In terms of the cost of credit operation, typically interest rates were widely reduced in 2020. The general average annual lending rate fell 4.2% to 18.4%, while the risk-free rate plummeted 7.9% percentage point to 25.5%. The monetary base increased by 29.6% in 2020, this compared to 4.8% in the previous year, while the means of the payment increased by 39.1%.
Fiscal Policy.
In real terms, total federal government income in 2020 was 13.1% lower than in 2019 due to the rate cut and decreased economic activity. The highest losses in tax revenue were in taxes on financial operations, as well as the contribution for the finances of Social Security, which is coffins, which fell by 10.1%, and income tax revenue fell by 6.7%. The federal government's spending increased by 31.1% in 2020. Economic activity result. Income increased by 28.5% in real terms. Tax collection increased by 28.9%, particularly in areas that follow the activity cycle. The revenue from the tax on individualized product climbed by 46.9%, and the profit taxes such as the social contribution on the net profit also increased. The revenue for income tax climbed by 19.6%.
Unemployment.
Monetary policy. The level of unemployment in the economy can be impacted by monetary policy. A monetary policy that is expansionary tends to reduce unemployment because it encourages economic activity and the growth of the labour market. The objective for the policy interest rate or Selic rate is decided by the Banco Central do Brasil's Monetary Policy Committee, COPOM. COPOM convenes 8 times a year, every 45 days. For the fiscal policy, since 2015, Brazil has adopted austerity policies, particularly through spending reduction. A significant institutional change in fiscal policy occurred in 2016 with the passage of a constitutional amendment that will stop real growth in the federal government spending for at least 10 years. The issue arises is how the present Brazilian fiscal regime, significant budgetary austerity, has affected both growth and unemployment.
For the conclusion, what are the policy lessons that may be learned from the data that has been acquired thus far in order to increase and improve employment and inflation? After a few decades of extremely unstable macroeconomic conditions and significant level of inequality, growth in the new century has been able to increase the rate at which employment is being created in Brazil. Even though more people are entering the labor field, unemployment and informality have decreased as a result. Additionally, the first positive fall in inequality indicator has been brought about by the growth of conditional financial support program and growing rates of human capital accumulation. This information shows that after a period of adjusting to trade liberalization and privatization policies, Brazil has a solid track for development. I think that's all from us. Thank you very much.